Good morning, good morning. Good morning, good morning. Hello, good morning. Sorry, I was getting my coffee and I didn't realize what the time was. Good morning, Belle. Let's see, let's wait for everyone to join us because they would have had to refresh their page. Good morning, Eleonora. Who else do we have? Sorry, I was having my breakfast. Good morning, Max. Good morning, James. Good morning, William. Good morning, Isabella and Anthony. Who else do we have? I'm not sure if children from school are joining today. I know you've got supply in, but Miss Garvey should be there. So hopefully, Zoe, you've set us up. Hopefully. Good morning, Fergus. Good morning, Noemi. Good morning, Athena. Good to see you. Good morning, Charlotte and Emily. Or should I say buenos dias? Good morning, Leon. On time today, Leon. So when you do your work, if you're from my school, post it on either Google Classroom or Seesaw. It's up to you. I think maybe it's easier if we all post it on Google Classroom and we save Seesaw for like fun stuff and like different activities that we've done out of choice. And should we post our schoolwork on Google Classroom? Yeah. Good morning, Petra. Good morning, Sean. Good morning, Harry. So I think we've got nearly everyone here, so we'll get started very soon. So tomorrow I'm in school. So if you are in school and you are a key worker child, I will see you tomorrow. I'm actually really, really looking forward to going into school. But I will not be able to say good morning to anyone on YouTube, but I will be uploading a video for you this afternoon. So if you're watching on Instagram, the video will be uploaded onto YouTube and I will put the link in my bio for tomorrow, okay? I've got the lesson ready. I know what I'm teaching. I just need to record it. Good morning, Tamsin. Good morning, Anthony. Good morning, Saskia. I hope you're watching too. So because to be able to film it and post it on Instagram, I have to I'd have to make a couple IGTV videos and that will just be very long. So I will go live this afternoon and then I will post that live onto YouTube. That's the easiest way. And then I will post the link onto my story tomorrow at 10:30ish. Is that okay? Yeah, I will record. Yes, James, I'll record one and I'll post it. And I've got a really nice task for you to do tomorrow. It's just a shame that I won't be able to interact with you and get your ideas, but I know that you always have super ideas and I've done a task where you kind of know what you're doing, so you'll be fine if I'm not necessarily there. I will say hello to everybody at school for all of you tomorrow. I'm sure they know that everybody misses everybody. And good morning, Fatima. And this evening, actually, we're having a school quiz. So I will say hello to all the teachers from all of you, okay? Okay, so let's go for our poem for today. Our poem for today is The Three-Headed Dog by Claire Bevan. Dog 1, I'm Nip. Dog 2, I'm Ripper. Dog 3, my name is Gus. Good morning, Miss Lockney. Miss Lockney, is it you watching or is it the children at school watching on your account? Is it Miss Garvey or is it Zoe? It's just Miss Lockney watching from home. Hello, Miss Lockney. Are you watching to see if I'm looking after your book? I was very tempted to write in it last night. I was very tempted, but it's not mine. So I know I shouldn't. I might buy my own copy actually, so I can, because I like making notes in it. Good morning, Daniel. Miss Lockney. Right, so let's go. Our poem for today is called The Three-Headed Dog. Everybody loves you, Miss Lockney. Dog 1, I'm Nick. Dog 2, I'm Ripper. Dog 3, my name is Gus. All, we are the monster called Cerberus. Dog 1, I'm feeling hungry. Dog 2, I like to howl. Dog 3, I found the dinner bowl. All, growl, growl, growl. Look at that three-headed dog. Dog 1, I'm chewing gristle. Dog 2, I like to whine. Dog 3, I grab the greasy bits. All, mine, mine, mine. Dog 1, I'm sniffing tree trunks. Dog 2, I like to nap. Dog 3, I'm gnawing rabbit bones. All, yap, yap, yap. Dog 1, I'm smelling danger. Dog 2, I like the dark. Dog 3, I'm hearing sneaky feet. All, bark, bark, bark. Dog 1, I've caught a burglar. Dog 2, I like to fight. Dog 3, I've pinned him to the ground. All, bite, bite, bite. Dog 1, we are the winners. Dog 2, we like to score. Dog 3, we're feeling sleepy now. All, snore, snore, snore. Dog 1, I'm Nip. Dog 2, I'm Ripper. Dog 3, my name is Gus. All, we are the monster called Cerberus. And there's a three-headed dog. That was a bit of a crazy poem. Right, guys, it is so lovely that you are saying good morning to Miss Lockney, but don't bombard her with messages now. You said good morning, and she said hello to all of you back. She's not going to say hello to, oh, well, she might say hello to specific people because, good morning, Ava and Jack. I see that you've joined. Has anyone else joined us? I can see Harry's here. I think Harry's from Miss Lockney's class, isn't he? Right, we've got everybody here. So today I'm going to try and get through quite a few pages because I want to get up to a bit ready for tomorrow, okay? So yesterday, if you're reading along with us, some of you might have the book. We will start on page 10. We left off on page 9, so we're going to start on page 10 today. Okay, and this chapter, so the chapters are kind of called, they're very short and they're called exactly what's happening in that chapter. Just check your internet connections if you think my phone is it's glitching. Okay, let's go. So driving. It was a long, I'm going to get comfortable because this is a chapter book. Ah, Miss Lopez, Miss Lockney, I wish you could join me and read along with me. There's not necessarily chapters, Belle. It's just, there's a lot of chapters really if I counted them. So don't worry, I've planned it so that we get through it in the next couple of weeks. Good morning, Sienna. Right, I'm going to start reading now. It was a long drive home. I fell asleep in the back seat like I always do. My head on Via's lap like she was my pillow. A towel wrapped around the seatbelt so I wouldn't drool all over her. Via fell asleep too, and Mum and Dad talked quietly about grown-up things I didn't care about. So while I'm reading, think about their characters and what they're like, okay? Not what they look like, but how they act, because that's going to be part of our task for today. I don't know how long I was sleeping, but when I woke up, there was a full moon outside the car window. It was a purple night, and we were driving on the highway full of cars. And then I heard Mum and Dad talking about me. We can't keep protecting him, Mum whispered to Dad, who was driving. We can't just pretend he's going to wake up tomorrow and this isn't going to be his reality, because it is, Nate, and we have to help him to deal with it. We can't just keep avoiding situations that... So sending him off to middle school like a lamb to slaughter, Dad answered angrily. But he didn't even finish his sentence because he saw me in the mirror looking up. What's a lamb to slaughter? I asked sleepily. Go back to sleep, Orky, Dad said softly. Everyone will stare at me at school, I said, suddenly crying. Honey, Mum said. She turned around in the front seat and put her hand on my lap. You know, if you don't want to do this, you don't have to. But we spoke to the principal there and told him about you, and he really wants to meet you. What did you tell him about me? How funny you are and how kind and smart. And when I told him you read Dragon Rider when you read Dragon Rider when you were 6, he was like, wow, I have to meet this kid. Did you tell him anything else? I said. Mum smiled at me. Her smile kind of hugged me, and I told him about all the surgeries and how brave you are, she said. So he knows what I look like, I asked. Well, we brought pictures from last summer in Montauk, Dad said. We showed him pictures of the whole family and the great shot of you holding the flounder on the boat. You were there too. I have to admit, I felt a little bit disappointed that he was a part of this. We both talked to him, yes, Dad said. He's a really nice man. You would like him, Mum added. Suddenly, it felt like they were on the same side. Wait, so when did you meet him? I said. He took us on a tour of the school last year, said Mum. Last year, I said. So you've been thinking about this for a whole year and you didn't tell me. We didn't know if you'd even get in, Augie answered Mum. It's a very hard school to get into. There's a whole admission process. I didn't see the point in telling you and having you get all worked up about it unnecessarily. But you're right, Augie. We should have told you when we found out last month that you got in. In hindsight, sighed Mum. Yes, I guess. Did the lady who came to our house that time have something to do with this? The one that gave me that test? Yes, said Mum, looking guilty. Yes. You told me it was an IQ test, I said. I know, well, that was a white lie. It was a test you need to get into the school. You did very well on it, by the way. What's a white lie? But yes, sorry, she said, trying to smile, but when I didn't smile back, she turned around in her seat and faced forward. What's a lamb to slaughter, I said. Mum sighed and gave Daddy a look. I shouldn't have said that, Dad said, looking at me in the rearview mirror. It's not true. Here's the thing. Mummy and I love you so much. We want to protect you in any way we can. It's just sometimes we want to do things in different ways. I don't want to go to school, I answered, folding my arms. It would be good for you, Augie, said Mum. Maybe I'll go next year, I answered, looking out the window. This year would be better, Augie, said Mum. You know why? Because you'll be going into 5th grade, and that's the first year of middle school for everyone. You won't be the only new kid. I'll be the only one who looks like me, I said. I'm not going to say it won't be a big challenge for you, because you know better than that. But it'll be good for you, Augie. You'll make lots of friends and you'll learn things you'd never learn from me. She turned in her seat again and looked at me. When we took our tour, you know, when they had what they had in their science lab, a little baby chick that was just hatching out of its egg. It was so cute. August, it actually kind of reminded me of you when you were a little baby with those big brown eyes of yours. I usually love when they talk about when I was a baby. Sometimes I want to curl up into a tiny ball and let them hug me and kiss me all over. I miss being a baby, not knowing stuff, but I wasn't in the mood for that now. I don't want to go, I said. How about this? Can you at least meet Mr. Tushman before making up your mind, Mum asked. Mr. Tushman, I said. He's the principal, answered Mum. Mr. Tushman, I repeated. I know, right, Dad answered, smiling and looking at me in the rearview mirror. Can you believe that name, Augie? I mean, who on earth would agree to have a name like Mr. Tushman? I smiled, even though I didn't want to let them see me smile. Dad was the one person in the world who could make me laugh no matter how much I didn't want to laugh. Dad always made me laugh. I'm just checking. Guys, remember that if you are chatting, you're being appropriate. If I'm lagging, you need to refresh your page. Tamsin, just be mindful of the chat in the while you're watching the video. Augie, you know you should go to that school just so you can hear his name said over the loudspeaker, Dad said excitedly. Can you imagine how funny that would be? Hello, hello, paging Mr. Tushman. He was using a fake, high, old lady voice. Hi, Mr. Tushman. I see you're running a little behind today. Did your car get rear-ended again? What a bum rap. I started laughing. Not even because I thought he was being that funny, but because I wasn't in the mood to stay mad anymore. It could be worse, though, Dad continued in his normal voice. Mummy and I had a professor in college called Miss Butt. Mum was laughing now, too. Is that for real? I said. Roberta Butt, Mum answered, raising her hand as if to swear. Bobby Butt. She had huge cheeks, said Dad. Nate, said Mum. What? She had big cheeks, is all I'm saying. Mum laughed and shook her head at the same time. Hey, I know, said Dad excitedly. Let's fix them up on a blind date. Can you imagine Miss Butt and Mr. Tushman? Mr. Tushman, here's Miss Butt. They could get married and have a bunch of little tushies. Poor Mr. Tushman, answered Mum, shaking her head. Augie hasn't even met the man yet. Nate? Who's Mr. Tushman? Bea said groggily. She had just woken up. He's the principal of my new school, I answered. Paging Mr. Tushman. I would have been more nervous about meeting Mr. Tushman if I'd known I was also going to meet some kids from the new school, but I didn't know. So if anything, I was kind of giggly. I couldn't stop thinking about all the jokes Daddy had made about Mr. Tushman's name. So when me and Mum arrived at Beecher Prep a few weeks before the start of school, I saw Mr. Tushman standing there waiting for us at the entrance. I started giggling straight away. I didn't look at all. He didn't look at all as I had pictured, though I guess I thought he would have a huge butt, and he didn't. In fact, he was a pretty normal guy, tall and thin, old but not really old. He seemed nice. He shook my mum's hand first. Hi, Mr. Tushman. It's really nice to see you again, said Mum. This is my son, August. Mr. Tushman looked at me and smiled and nodded. He put his hand up for me to shake. Hi, August, he said, totally normally. It's a pleasure to meet you. Hi, I mumbled, dropping my hand into his hand while I looked down at his feet. He was wearing red Adidas. So, he said, kneeling down in front of me I couldn't look at his sneakers, but had to look at his face. Your mum and dad have told me lots about you. Like, what have they told you? I asked. Sorry? Honey, you have to speak up, said Mum. Like what? I asked, trying not to mumble. I admit I had a bad habit of mumbling. Well, that you like to read, said Mr. Tushman, and that you're a great artist. He had blue eyes with white eyelashes, and you're into science, right? Uh-huh, I said, nodding. We have a couple of great science electives at Beecher, he said. Maybe you'll take one of them. Uh-huh, I said, though I had no idea what an elective was. So are you ready to take a tour? You mean we're doing that now? I said. Do you think we're going to the movies? He answered, smiling as he stood up. You didn't tell me we were taking a tour, I said to Mum in my accusing voice. Augie, she started to say. It'll be fine, August, said Mr. Tushman, holding his hand up to me. I promise. I think he wanted me to take his hand, but I took Mum's instead. He smiled and started walking towards the entrance. Mummy gave him my hand a little squeeze, though I don't know if it was a I love you squeeze or a I'm sorry squeeze. Probably a little bit of both. The only school I'd ever been inside before was Bea's. When I went with my mum and dad to watch Bea sing in a spring concert and stuff like that, this school was very different. It was smaller. It smelled like a hospital. Nice, Mrs. Garcia. We followed Mr. Tushman down a few hallways. There weren't a lot of people around, and few people who were there didn't seem to notice me at all, though it may have been because they didn't see me. I sort of hid behind Mum as I walked. I know that sounds a bit babyish of me, but I wasn't feeling very brave just then. We ended up in a small room with the words Office of the Middle School Director on the door. Inside there was a desk with a nice-seeming lady sitting behind it. This is Mrs. Garcia, said Mr. Tushman, and the lady smiled at Mum and took her glasses off and got up out of the chair. My mother shook her hand and said, Isabel Pullman, nice to meet you. And this is August. Sorry, my auntie's calling me. Then that thing happened that I've seen happen a million of times before. When I looked up at her, Mrs. Garcia's eyes dropped for a second. It was so fast no one else could have noticed, since the rest of her face stayed exactly the same. She was smiling a really shiny smile. Such a pleasure to meet you, August, she said, holding out her hand for me to shake. Hi, I said quietly, giving her my hand, but I didn't want to look at her face, so I kept staring at her glasses, which hung from a chain around her neck. Wow, what a firm grip, said Mrs. Garcia. Her hand was really warm. The kids got a killer handshake, Mr. Tushman agreed, and everyone laughed above my head. You can call me Mrs. G, Mrs. Garcia said. I think she was talking to me, but I was looking at all the stuff on her desk now. That's exactly what everyone calls me, Mrs. G. I forgot my combination. Mrs. G, I need a late pass. Mrs. G, I want to change my elective. Mrs. G actually, Mrs. G is actually the one who runs this place, said Mr. Tushman, which again made all the grown-ups laugh. I'm here every morning by 7:30, Mrs. Garcia continued, still looking at me while I stared at her brown sandals with small purple flowers and buckles. So if you ever need anything, August, I'm the one to ask, and you can ask me anything. Okay, I mumbled. Oh, look at that cute baby, Mum said, pointing to the one in the photograph on Mrs. Garcia's bulletin board. Is he yours? No, my goodness, said Mrs. Garcia, smiling a big smile now that was totally different from her shiny smile. You've just made my day. He's my grandson. What a cutie, said Mum, shaking her head. How old? In that picture, he was 5 months, I think, but he's big now, almost 8 years old. Wow, said Mum, nodding and smiling. Well, he is absolutely beautiful. Thank you, said Mrs. Garcia, nodding like she was about to say something else about her grandson. But then, all of a sudden, her smile got a little smaller. We're all going to take very good care of August, she said to Mum, and I saw her give Mum's hand a little squeeze. I looked at Mum's face, and that's when I realised she was just as nervous as I was. I guess I liked Mrs. Garcia when she wasn't wearing her shiny smile. So he likes her when she's being normal. Yeah, this is a lovely book. Jack, Will, Julian, and Charlotte. We followed Mr. Tushman. Also, guys, if you're really listening to the story, you wouldn't have to comment the whole time. I don't mind little comments here and there, but having full-blown conversations with each other, come on. Not cool. We followed Mr. Tushman into a small room across from Mrs. Garcia's desk. He was talking as he closed the door to his office and sat down behind his big desk. I wasn't really paying much attention to what he was saying. I was looking around at all the things on his desk. Cool stuff, like a globe that floated in the air and a Rubik's type cube made with little mirrors. I liked his office a lot. I liked that there were all these neat little things, little drawings and paintings by students on the walls, framed like they were important. Mum sat down in her chair in front of Mr. Tushman's desk, and even though there was another chair right next to hers, I decided to stand beside her. Why do you have your own room and Mrs. G doesn't? I said. You mean, why do I have an office? Asked Mr. Tushman. You said she runs the place. Oh, well, I was kind of kidding. Mrs. G is my assistant. Mr. Tushman is the director of the middle school, Mum explained. Do they call you Mr. T? I asked. Oh. Do you know who Mr. T is? He answered. Ah, pity the fool, he said in a funny, tough voice, like he was imitating someone. I had no idea what he was talking about. Anyway, no, said Mr. Tushman, shaking his head. No one calls me Mr. T, though I have a feeling I'm called a lot of other things that I don't know about. Let's face it, with a name like mine, it's not so easy to live with. You know what I mean? Here I have to admit I totally laughed because I knew exactly what he meant. My mum and dad had a teacher called Miss Butt, I said. Augie, said Mum, but Mr. Tushman laughed. Now that's bad, said Mr. Tushman, shaking his head. I guess I shouldn't complain. Hey, so listen, August, here's what I thought we would do today. Is that a pumpkin? I said, pointing to a framed painting behind Mr. Tushman's desk. Augie, sweetie, don't interrupt, said Mum. You like it, said Mr. Tushman, turning around and looking at the painting. I do too, and I thought it was a pumpkin too, until the student who gave it to me explained that it's actually not a pumpkin. It is, are you ready for this, a portrait of me. Now, August, I ask you, do I really look that much like a pumpkin? No, I answered, though I was thinking yes. Something about the way his cheeks puffed out when he smiled made him look like a jack-o'-lantern. Just as I thought that, it occurred to me that how funny that was. Cheeks, Mr. Tushman, and I started laughing a little more. I shook my head and covered my mouth with my hand. Mr. Tushman smiled like he could read my mind. As I was about to say something else, but all of a sudden I heard other voices outside the office. Kids' voices. I'm not exaggerating when I say this, but my heart literally started beating like I'd just run the longest race in the world. The laughter I had inside just poured out of me. The thing is, when I was little, I never minded meeting new kids because all the kids I met were really nice too. What's cool about really little kids is that they don't say stuff to hurt your feelings, even though sometimes they do stuff that hurts your feelings. But they don't actually know what they're saying. Big kids, though, they know what they're saying. And this is definitely not fun for me. One of the reasons I grew my hair long last year was so I like how my bangs cover my eyes. It helps me block out things I don't want to see. Mrs. Garcia knocked on the door and poked her head inside. They're here, Mr. Tushman, she said. Who's here? I said. Thanks, said Mr. Tushman to Mrs. Garcia. August, I thought it'd be a nice idea for you to meet some of the students who'll be in your homeroom this year. I figured they could take you around the school for a bit, show you the lay of the land, so to speak. I don't want to meet anyone, I said to Mum. Mr. Tushman was suddenly right in front of me, his hands on my shoulders. He leaned down and said very softly in my ear, You'll be okay, August. These are nice kids, I promise. You're going to be okay, Augie, Mum whispered, with all her might. Before she could say anything else, Mr. Tushman opened the door to his office. Come on in, kids, he said, and in walked two boys and a girl. None of them looked over at me or Mum. They stood by the door, looking straight at Mr. Tushman, like their lives depended on it. Thanks so much for coming, guys, especially since school doesn't start until next month, said Mr. Tushman. Have you had a good summer? All of them nodded, but no one said anything. Great, said Mr. Tushman. So guys, I wanted you to meet August, who's going to be a new student here this year. August, these guys have been students at Beecher Prep since kindergarten, though of course they were in the lower school building, but they know all the ins and outs of middle school program. And since you're all in the same homeroom, I thought it'd be nice if you got to know each other a little before school started. Okay, so kids, this is August. August, this is Jack Will. Jack Will looked at me and put out his hand. When I shook it, he kind of half smiled and said, hey, and looked down really fast. I'm going to stop there. They're saying bless you because I sneezed. Okay, so I'm going to stop there. That's not as far as I wanted to read, but actually I'm going to save the task that I wanted to do tomorrow for Friday, and tomorrow I will give you a different task. So today's task, before you go, because it is past and I don't want to keep you too long and I want to go out for a run, today's task is I want you to infer some information from the text, and I want you to write about the people in August's family, okay? So tell me what you think their characters are like. Not what they look like, but what their personalities are like. So thinking back about what we read yesterday and thinking about what we read today, I want kind of a little paragraph on each character. So in August's family, you have his mum. So I want you to tell me what you think his mum is like. You've got his dad. I want you to tell me what you think about his dad. You've got August. I want you to tell me what you think about August. And then obviously you've got Via, okay? So I want you to write about their characters. And this is not exactly what it says in the book. This is what you have inferred. So from what I've read, what do you think about the characters? What do you think they're like? And I want reasons, okay? So if you say something about them, I want you to tell me why you think that, and where in the text it might explain that it is like that. Okay, so we're going to stop on page 22, and then tomorrow I'm going to read from page 22 up to page 34. Okay, so is that clear? Is that clear for everybody, your task for today? Yeah, right, super. You're off to do the task. So I won't see you tomorrow, but I will post a video for tomorrow. And VIA, yeah, because actually her name is Olivia, so it's short for Olivia. Do all of them. There's only 4 of them. No, Miss Lopez live won't carry on when quarantine is over, because you'll have the actual Miss Lopez and the other children. I'm going to figure out what I can do, because there's lots of other children who watch this who actually aren't from our school. So I need to figure out what I can do to support them. Okay, so you're welcome. Have a lovely rest of the day. I can't wait to see your super tasks. I will see you, well, you will see me tomorrow. I will see you on Friday. Have a super rest of the day, guys. Remember, stay home, stay safe, and I can't wait to see your super work. See you tomorrow, superstars. I'm sure you can read on, but you might as well wait and read with us, because the tasks will be specific to what we've just read. But feel free. If you want to carry on reading, you can carry on reading. See you tomorrow, superstars. Oh, Miss Lockney, maybe she could do my live. I'm going to call Miss Lockney and ask her if she can do the live read tomorrow. Oh, no, she doesn't have the book. Okay, I'll try and figure something out. I will let you know whatever I figure out. See you tomorrow.